The following podcast will contain spoilers, tangents, hot takes, and excessive foul language. Viewer discretion is advised. Enjoy the show.
Greetings, horror fans, and welcome to episode 309 of Frightmares. I'm your host, Austin Proctor, and joining me today for 1988's They Live is Cory Johnson.
Hey, old brother.
Okay, doing Hogan?
Well, because I don't know what fucking Rowdy Piper said in the ring, so it's at least wrestler adjacent.
There you go. That's totally fair. I love how when we did the Christine episode, I told you, I don't think we have any more carpenters for the rest of this, year. Fucking 4 years later, or 5 years later, doing another carpenter. This is such a
good carpenter too. It's got every trapping of his that makes his movies great.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy this movie.
And it's such a different movie, in my opinion, than what he normally does, because while I do, it is classified as a horror movie, it's so much more sci-fi thriller than it is horror, and such a great social commentary.
At the same time, I do... And maybe it's just from like how he sets things up. I do get a little bit of like The Thing vibes from it as well. It just has that like ethereal, wishy-washy kind of feel going on. Like nothing that you're looking at is what you're looking at because everything is kind of different. Something's impostering something.
Yeah, oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess I can see the correlation there. Yeah, now gears are clicking for me now. When you first said that, I was like, I don't get that one. No, I can totally understand that. It definitely has that same kind of vibe. So clearly, this is a fan favorite with us. Clearly, this is going to be a slap. I don't know what world we would be living in if this wasn't a fucking slap. So I'm calling that it's going to be a slap now.
Oh yeah.
My history with this movie. Oh man. This is one of those movies that I did not... I had, seen the poster for a while because it's a pretty epic poster. You have Rowdy Piper with the glasses half, pulled down over his eyes with an alien in the reflection. But I really didn't know anything about it other than the fact that it was... directed by John Carpenter. Now, I started logging movies in 2019, as I mentioned all the time on this show, and the first time I logged it was 2021. It's entirely possible that was the first time I saw it. I would not put it past me and my weird experience with horror that 2021 may have been the first time, or it could have been one of those things where I watched it so passively years ago that I just completely forgot about it. But I didn't know much about it because even the IMDb summary, which we'll get to, does not really reveal much at all. And I rarely would look at those before I really got into movies. I would just say, hey, this looks familiar, and I'll watch it. But yeah, the IMDb summary is very vague, which I like. Doesn't really give much away. And then I pretty much I can't believe I haven't watched it every year. I've only watched it 4 times since 2021. I watched it 2021, and then I watched it twice in 2022, skipped 23 and 24 for some fuck reason. I don't know why. Which just seems like a crime. And then obviously for this most recent watch, and boy, did it hit so differently with the current climate of what's going on. I was like, this is too real and I don't like it. So
yeah, it is. it is a little too real world, like back and forthing through the movie. So it does feel like, ooh, this doesn't feel too good.
And it's crazy that a 37-year-old movie could be more relevant today than it was when it came out. But here we are. And they actually mentioned I have a quote and a line from the movie. They actually mentioned the year 2025 in the fucking movie.
Yeah.
So that one hit me like a sack of bricks. What is your history with They Live?
So this, surprisingly enough, this was not one of the regular rotation movies of mine. I remember hearing about it like through some YouTube video. It was some like back in the infancy of YouTube where it was like all ranking videos and that kind of thing. And it was like top 10 movies with wrestlers as the stars or some dumb shit. And it was They Live. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then they said it was directed by John Carpenter. I was like, oh, I gotta go check this out. And I remember it was probably streaming somewhere at the time. So I had put it on and I watched it and I loved it from the outset. And it's not one of those movies that's like in a regular rotation of mine, not for any other reason because I'm not super big on how this movie is paced. I feel like you have a very distinct A and B section of the movie, and I so much more prefer the B section of the movie. If they would have given us all A and made it a completely different movie, it wouldn't have even been They Live. It would have been a cool movie, like a vagrant traveling guy, and he's just getting into trouble and that kind of thing. And it's like a character study piece. But then you have the They Live part, which is the very distinctive B section. And that's what I'm here for. And I feel like the A section just overstays its welcome ever so slightly.
Okay, maybe this won't be a slap. Fuck.
No, it's still gonna be a slap for sure. This is my only gripe of the entire movie is I'm not super huge on the pacing.
Fair enough.
Everything else about it I fucking love.
Interesting, because I can now. I'm very excited because I love the pacing so much. So there's our history with the movie. Let's move on to what did Jason Hill make me watch this week. This week, Jason made me watch a movie called Black Roses. And if you've never heard of that movie, good, because I hadn't either. It's like, so when we were doing Shopping Mall in 1986, the Jason pick for that week was a movie called Trick or Treat, which was a heavy metal based horror movie. And it's like Jason heard me say there's not enough metal themed horror movies and said, hold my beer, because the synopsis for this is demons hypnotize the general public by posing as a rock and roll band. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate that. Love that. So, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily metal, like, you know, the classic 80s metal we're thinking of. It was kind of more like hair metal. Still metal.
Pretty much for a long time, pretty much any rock and roll was considered the devil's music.
Right. Yeah. Any type of rock and roll like that, especially if they're dressing up or in anything on stage.
And if it's the 80s, we're like right dead smack in the middle of the satanic panic. It counts.
The whole Tipper Gore thing with her being very passionate about getting record labels to put certain types of warnings on shit. Yeah. And I watched the Joe Bob Briggs episode where he did this movie. It was this movie and Frankenhooker, but I only had time to do Black Roses. And it's funny, too, because in that episode of it's like Joe Bob Briggs heard me as well, because he said there are like 20-something metal/horror movies, so I stand corrected as fuck. Need to dive into those and find out more. But I really like this one. It had great music. We had monsters jumping out of speakers and sucking people into them. Fucking Vincent Pastore is in this, who would go on to play Salvatore Bonus, whatever, in The Sopranos. His name was like Big Pussy or something like that, which is a terrible name.
Yeah. Big Pussy.
Yeah, not a fan of that name at all. Fun creature effects, good practical effects. It was a fun time, especially for a movie that legit, and I'm not saying I've heard of every movie ever, but I know a lot of movies. So I love when Jason recommends me a movie that I've just straight up not even on my radar, and it's just a fun little, campy movie. It was a good time. I recommend watching this one. You can watch this one on the Shudder, I believe. Yeah, it's on Shudder, so you can watch the regular version, or you can watch the Joe Bob Briggs version. I like watching Joe Bob. He's fun. I mean, he does take a 90-minute movie and turn it into like a 2.5-hour ordeal, so you have to have time for it, but he's always entertaining, so I recommend that. Jason gave this. See, Jason's confusing, okay? Because he's logged this twice, right? The first time he gave it 2 stars with no heart and said, "Is this a Gwar documentary?" Which is fucking hilarious. But then the next time he gave it 2.5 stars and he said, "Teenage Mutant Demon Turtles." So which is it, Jason? 2 or 2.5? How are you rating the same movie? 2 different things. Confusing. So let's just go with the 2.5. I gave this 3 out of 5 with I think I gave it the heart. Did I give this a heart? I feel like I gave it a heart. Yeah, I gave it a heart. Fun time, quick 90-minute movie. There's also an absurd amount of Lamborghinis in here they probably rented some Lamborghinis and were like, shoot all of the footage now and put it in the movie. I'm not sure what was up with all the Lamborghinis. But yeah, definitely a good time. Highly recommend it. 2.8 out of 5 on the Letterboxd. And again, that is Black Roses from 1988.
Jason says, check it out. You'll probably hate it.
You'll probably hate it.
All right, let's move on to the highest grossing movies of the year and the Academy Award winners of 1988. I think I said 1988 last episode. I don't know. Man, I was listening to the last episode when I was editing it, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize how tired I sounded. I was wiped out that day, and I am speaking so slow, and I'm slurring a word here and there. Just so it's on the record, was not drunk or intoxicated or high in any way. I was so tired. I just didn't realize you could hear it in my voice because I am speaking so slow. So I didn't have a stroke or anything. I'm good. I was so goddamn exhausted the day we recorded Lost Boys. Nonetheless, the highest grossing movie of the year goes to Rain Man, $354.8 million. Highest grossing horror movie of the year goes to A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master at $49.4 million. This is the 61st Academy Awards presented on Wednesday, March 29th, 1989, honoring movies that came out in 1988. Best Actor goes to Dustin Hoffman for Rain Man. Actor in a supporting role goes to Kevin Kline for A Fish Called Wanda. Best Actress goes to Jodie Foster for The Accused. Actress in a supporting role goes to Gina Davis for The Accidental Tourist. Never knew she won an Oscar. Cinematography goes to Peter Bizio for Mississippi Burning. Best director goes to Barry Levinson for Rain Man. Best musical score goes to David Grusin for the Milagro Beanfield War, whatever that is.
I was about to say, in passing, I think I've heard of all of these movies. And then you got to the Beanfield Wars, and I'm like, nope, I'm lost.
The good old Bean Flick Wars. And then Best Picture goes to Rain Man. The synopsis for Rain Man, I feel like most people have probably heard about this, but just in case you haven't, after a selfish LA yuppie learns his estranged father left a fortune to an autistic savant brother in Ohio that he never knew existed, he absconds with his brother and sets out across the country hoping to gain a larger inheritance.
Great movie.
Yeah, funny enough, the opening shot of this movie is a Lamborghini as well, and it's the same style of Lamborghini, which is a Countach, which is one of my favorite Lamborghinis. So, way to match that up, Jason. Both movies that I watched for this week outside of They Lived had Lamborghinis in them. So, this movie is definitely slightly problematic. The use of the R word is thrown around a lot. Cruz's character is telling Hoffman's character to stop being an idiot, and he has literally no patience for this man. I do think Hoffman's performance is a good representation of autism, but as we know, autism is a wide spectrum. So while this might be indicative of a certain type of autism, it is not, it does not reflect every single type and situation of person. But some of the mannerisms that he had, I had a neighbor with autism, so she did, it was. I think it was a good performance and represented it in a way. But what I didn't know about this movie that Jason told me is that this actually improved public awareness of the failure of many agencies to accommodate autistic people. So this actually was kind of an eye-opening movie for just the country as a whole. And it definitely improved things going forward, which I thought was interesting, even though someone who is not autistic playing an autistic man that's the problem. That's kind of the problematic thing. And as much as I did,
plus anything that Tom Cruise is attached to is generally slightly problematic just because he's fucking Tom Cruise.
Exactly. I did enjoy his performance in this. Except for the fact that it's essentially 2 hours. Or like an hour, because it is about a 2 hour, 10-minute movie. It's like an hour and 50 minutes of Tom Cruise just fucking yelling at Dustin Hoffman and being impatient. So that was a little frustrating. And the movie skyrocketed my anxiety with how repetitive Hoffman was, but I know that's part of autism, how impatient Tom Cruise was. And especially there was one scene in a phone booth where Cruise is talking on the phone to someone. Dustin Hoffman is just going off about all the like, it's too small in here. I don't like it. It's too small. And then he's talking to Hoffman, who's not it was like 4 different conversations. I had to turn the volume off. I was like, I can't fucking do this.
Definitely too tight.
Yeah, I was like, I can't do this. So God, my anxiety was so high for that movie. But at the end, there is a good character arc for Tom Cruise's character, by the end of the movie. So all in all, I definitely think it is a good movie. I think it is important for what it did, for the general awareness of autism. Again, it's just that autistic man, or a non-autistic man playing an autistic man. It's got a 3.9 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I gave it a 3.5. It was at a 3 for a while, and then the ending happened, and I was like, okay, good character arc. I like this. And it ended in a way I didn't expect. So 3.5 out of 5. And my review for it is, hearing the line "Kmart sucks" hits a lot different now that they're out of business, because Kmart was mentioned. Kmart was mentioned a lot in this movie. So.
Yeah. And see, I give that movie a 4. I saw it for the first time in my high school psych class.
Oh wow.
And it hit number one. Like, anytime you get to watch a movie in class, that movie is already like top fucking tier. But even though Tom Cruise is problematic, I fucking love Tom Cruise. Like, A Few Good Men is one of my favorite movies of all time. Fucking Top Gun is great. Jerry Maguire is a good movie, but I fucking love that movie. It's a really, really good movie.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And I had a vivid memory of one scene in that movie, which it was so random. I just remember them being with like kind of a blue backdrop and like this big open room on kind of like a small stage, and it wasn't happening for the whole movie. And I'm like, maybe this is a different movie. And then you get to the scene where Tom Cruise is teaching Dustin Hoffman how to dance in the Vegas hotel room, and I was like, there it is. I was like, all right, my memory did not fail me this time. That's the scene I remember. So. All right, so let's move on to the IMDb Roundup. This is They Live from 1988, released on November 4th of that year in the US. It is rated R for moderate sex and nudity, moderate violence and gore, moderate profanity, mild alcohol, drugs, and smoking, and moderate frightening and intense scenes. Coming in at 1 hour and 34 minutes. Perfect time. Listed as an action horror sci-fi thriller. Directed by John Carpenter, written by John Carpenter, composed by John Carpenter. Also composed by Alan Howarth, who composed Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, Christine, which was the last John Carpenter we did, and The Dentist 1 and 2. We have cinematography by Gary B. Kibb, one of my favorite cinematographers that John Carpenter works with, because he also did the cinematography for Prince of Darkness, In the Mouth of Madness, and Ghosts of Mars, among other Carpenter flicks as well.
He knows how to frame a fucking shot.
He knows how to, yeah, absolutely.
Every camera shot in this, I was like, it just feels like an 80s movie.
Oh,
like
yeah.
It is the perfect artistic time capsule of the 80s in a movie.
Hard agree. Oh, yeah. 100% agree. Edited by Gib Jaff, who was also edited Breakin', Rambo First Blood Part 2, and Ruthless People, then also edited by Frank E. Jimenez, who also edited Rambo First Blood Part 2 and Mannequin. Starring Roddy Piper as Nada, who was most famously a wrestler. He's been in plenty of movies. He was even in a few episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but he was also in a movie called Hell Comes to Frogtown as Sam Hell, and it's such a good movie. We have Keith David as Frank, who was also in The Thing as Childs, Meg Foster as Holly, who was also in The Lords of Salem as Margaret Morgan. We've got Chuck Buckflower as Drifter, who was also in Back to the Future as Red the Bum. And then we've got Peter Jason as Gilbert, who was also in Prince of Darkness as Dr. Paul Leahy, or Leahy, whatever. Estimated budget of $4 million, grossing $13.5 million. It was filmed in Atlanta, Georgia, and LA, California. You could rent this on Prime. Movies that came out around the same time. Let me tell you what we got here. Let's see. We've got Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, Night of the Demons, Pumpkinhead, The Lair of the White Worm, Mystic Pizza, Moonwalker, The Brain, Child's Play, Ernest Saves Christmas. I'm doing this on the fly because I forgot to write this down. The Land Before Time, Oliver and Company, Scrooged, My Mother is an Alien, Twins, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, Rain Man, Working Girl, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. Like, god damn, a lot of shit came out around this time. So here's the nondescript IMDb summary. It is: a lone drifter stumbles upon a harrowing discovery. Oh, wait, that's not what hold on a second. Hang on a second. That's the IMDb summary? That's so weird. It's completely different on my phone. I'm going to go with this one. The IMDb summary, according to my phone and not the internet version of IMDb, is: they influence our decisions without us knowing it. They numb our senses without us feeling it. They control our lives without us realizing it. They live. As opposed to a lone drifter stumbles upon a harrowing discovery, a unique pair of glasses that reveals the aliens are systematically gaining control of the earth by masquerading as humans and lulling the public into submission. Anyways, this is They Live.
Our masters!
What do these things want, and why are they here?
You still don't get it, do you, boy? They have recruited the rich and the powerful. They're running the whole show. Wake up! They're all about you, all around you. Blinded us to the truth.
Take a look.
They are safe as long as they are not discovered.
I don't know what they are or where they came from, but we gotta stop them.
Stay away from me.
Put these on.
They have us. Look at them, they're everywhere. Our owners.
We have no other choice.
I don't like this one bit.
Leave it alone, man. It ain't none of my business, ain't none of yours.
We have been lulled into a trance.
Listen to what I'm saying to you. We're in trouble. The whole world's in trouble.
Control us.
You're sending some kind of signals out of TV sets.
I've got one that can see.
Mama don't like tattletale.
Now we start spilling some blood. Let's go.
Push a button.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
So, Corey, overall thoughts on They Live?
Like I said earlier, it is definitely like the perfect artistic time capsule of the 80s. Everything is done in the perfect ratio of tongue in cheek with this movie, because they give you just enough quippy one-liners to remind you, yeah, this guy was in the WWF. They give you just enough action to where like other people are going to come to it instead of it just being a horror movie, but they give you just enough scary shit that it works for the horror people. This movie is the just enough movie. It's got just enough of something for everyone except for Jessica, apparently.
No, that's totally fair. I agree. It's got horror for horror fans. It's got plenty of sci-fi for sci-fi fans. It's got just enough action for action fans. Yeah, it's got a little bit of everything.
And it's got a little bit of comedy.
Yeah, there's a little, because a lot of Roddy Piper's one-liners are great, and then they even there's some comedy between like Frank and Nada as well. My overall thoughts is this is it's a perfect representation of capitalism, and it is more relatable today than it was in the 80s, I feel. It's just like you said, it's a perfect time capsule of the 80s, and it's one of my favorite, not only one of my favorite Carpenters, but just one of my favorite movies, 80s horror movies. It's so fucking good. And I mean, even from the opening shot, it's a train passing by, and it's like, bow, down, down. And I'm like, yep, I'm already into this. I'm already ready to go. And that's what I love about the score so much, is it's not your traditional Carpenter score. And I know, granted, he is working with Alan Howarth, but they've done other things together where it's very Carpenter-y. But this one is this kind of bluesy, folksy, Western-y vibe, and I'm fucking here for it.
I'm super into it, and it almost gave me the feel. You said bluesy Western. I got almost like, granted, it was new school at the time.
Okay.
But like new school film noir, because it's that same fucking pattern that plays through most of the entire movie.
Yeah.
And it elicits that same response of that mimetic sound when you think of film noir, that like saxophone
right
in the background and the rain. Yeah. And with that like bluesy kind of rambling riff that they play through the entire thing, it does give me like almost noir vibes, especially because you've got like, instead of like a hardworking gumshoe, you've got this nameless drifter.
Yeah.
It has the same kind of vibes, and it really, really works for me, this music.
Yeah, the slightest issue I have with it is at times it can be a little repetitive, but it fits so well to the movie that I don't even think about it. And if anyone has ever seen John Carpenter's Vampires from 1998, that also has a very similar score, because it is, I don't necessarily think it's a Western movie, but I know it's set out in the desert. And it has a very similar score to this. And outside of these two movies, I can't think of another one that has this kind of different, like, non-synthesizer Carpenter. But I love it. And I love that he can do a score like this, because it shows how versatile he is, because we all know the Halloween theme. That's a great score. And he's done plenty of other great scores for all of his movies. But there's something about this They Live score that not only works so well, but I just like, goddamn Carpenter, fucking genius. So starting with the beginning of the movie, there is a lot of great foreshadowing. I'd say like in the first 50, because it does get going pretty quick in a sense, but there's some good foreshadowing. Like, for example, the priest, who you see very early in the movie, and saying that we all need to wake up, they're in control of us, they're our masters, and then the cops pull up and head towards them, but then you don't see anything else. When I think that was a smart thing to do, because if they, took him away or tried to do something with him, it would have been like, whoa, what's going on already? But you just see the cops pull up, and you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Crazy guy spouting off about whatever. He's probably not even a priest. And then you get the other foreshadowing with the guy on the TV who interrupts the little homeless shelter television set. and you're like, okay, something's obviously going on here. I'm not exactly sure what all of this is, and because at this point, if you read the IMDb summary, you just know that there's aliens controlling things. So I guess by that point, you can probably put it together. But he hasn't found the glasses yet, so I love just the small foreshadowing of what's to come. And the line that I really so I've got two lines that hit me. The first line was from that TV interruption, and it's the guy on screen. He says, "The poor and the underclass are growing. Racial justice and human rights are non-existent. They have created a repressive society, and we are their unwitting accomplices. Their intention to rule rests with the annihilation of consciousness. We have been lulled into a trance. They have made us indifferent to ourselves, to others. We are focused only in our own gain." And I was like, good God. Whoo, that's too relatable, Carpenter. I don't know how you did that, but it's way too relatable right now. I was like, it's kind of scary how fucking relatable that is. But so you said you had kind of an issue with the pacing, and it's funny because I specifically wrote down how I loved the pacing because it's slow enough to build the mystery that I want, and you get the payoff that you like basically deserve at that point for being so patient with the movie. So what exactly with the pacing itself, because I know you were talking about kind of an A and B movie, and there's just too much of the A before we get to the kind of third act. Is that the issue you're kind of talking about?
Not even the third act. And this sounds really gripey, but from the point of discovery of what the glasses are to begin with, to him actually getting them, I guess for me, like part of it is I don't remember it taking that long to get to him running around LA with fucking glasses and doing all his action shit that he does. But for me, like, especially when you're not even going to actually give your character a name, his name is Nada. I really don't care about him and his reasoning because you're not going to give him a name. He's a one-off character. He is just the vehicle to get you the story. I don't need to know about him working homeless and Rowdy Piper's contract that says I get to fucking take my shirt off on camera. And I don't care about Frank's backstory because he's friending up with a nameless character. I don't think you even need the real beginning of the movie for the they live section of the movie to be impactful. You could have erased the first 20 minutes out of the movie, dropped us in where the guy cuts in with the pirate channel station and gone from there, and you have the exact same movie.
See, and that's funny, yeah, because I like the intro because it's him wandering around. I mean, you can still get vagrant type without that, but I enjoy that because it sets the movie up for, okay, this guy is clearly just wandered into town. We don't know where he's from. And I like the fact that you get some backstory, but I don't feel like it's overdone with how much backstory you get, because basically from Nada, you get, he was in Colorado, now he's in, I think this is set in LA, so he's come from there, now he's in LA, and he's just trying to basically find a job. And then Frank, you know that I think he's probably the union rep or whatever for that construction site. He's got a wife and a kid, but like, if they would have like dove in way more to just filling out this backstory, I'd be like, yeah, I don't need that. But you don't get too much, and I think it's smart with how they do it because you get the preacher guy in the beginning, then you get the TV, then you get Peter Jason coming out of the church, and Nada's like, so what are you guys doing in there? He's like, oh, yeah, just this and that. And he's like, till 4 a.m, what's going on there? And then eventually he goes to explore, and you find out that the people that are singing and praising or whatever, it's a fucking recording. And you get Peter Jason talking to the guy that was on TV, and that preacher's back there. So it just slowly starts connecting all the dots of all, and by the time you get to the glasses and him putting them on, which is funny, I didn't realize it's about 40 minutes until he puts the glasses on and starts wandering around the city. Like,
and I guess that's what I'm saying is I don't need that. I don't need it to be 40 minutes until, because even without all the breadcrumbs that they're laying down in front of you, the reveal of when he puts on the glasses and everything goes grayscale and you see what's actually going on, it's still just as impactful without the setup, because up until they show you the visuals, you can't know what it's going to be in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. It's like you're wasting Rowdy Piper's talents for 40 minutes, where he could be doing the shit that he does after he puts on the glasses, which is way better.
Yeah. And it's funny because I remember pausing it right when he got the glasses, I paused it right before he came in to like shoot up the bank, and it was about 45 minutes in, and I went, wow, it has not even felt that long at all. I genuinely thought it was going to be maybe 25 to 30 minutes. So that's why I guess I don't have a problem with it, because I really didn't think it took that long to get into the story. But for me, I'm just loving everything that's happening on screen. I'm loving the interactions of Frank and Nada. I think they're a weird pair that works well. They have good chemistry. And like on paper, they just seem like totally different people. And really in the movie,
Keith David can make anybody cool.
That's true. And even in the movie, they are polar opposites. Like Frank is like, nah, I don't want anything to do with this. Just leave me alone. Keep me out of it. And Nada's like, nah, I'm gonna keep investigating. So it's just so funny. I love the pairing of them. And then he goes like, he just leans into that shit when he does put the glasses on. I mean, he figures out what's going on with all the aliens and because it's funny, you put the glasses on and you're like, okay, this is weird. Why are some people aliens and some people are regular? What's going on here? I don't understand. And then that gets revealed when he's like, oh man, I put these glasses on and you've got like a fucking marshmallow face or whatever he said. And then they start talking all into their watches and you're like, okay, so they're all conspiring together. These are the people controlling everything. Got it. And then it's like 5 minutes later, he's got a shotgun and he's going in to shoot up the bank. And I was like, man, he just went full tilt, like into this shit. No hesitation. Just going to start going and shooting people. I love that.
Well, and see now and I don't know if this is a throwaway line or not, but there is a time when he takes off the glasses originally before he goes to the bank, and he goes, man, these glasses are a trip. They get you all kinds of high.
Yeah.
So maybe he's just full tilt into it because the glasses give you the ability to like not fucking care about it. They lower the inhibitions, which is why once Frank gets them on, he's like, all right, let's fucking go.
Yeah, that's true, because everything you see around you when you put the glasses on is, obey, conform, sleep, stay sleeping. So I think the glasses kind of unlock this higher level of consciousness and does provide some sort of a high or some sort of a stimulant, because once everybody finds out what's going on, it's like, I mean, they've got that brigade of people fighting against it, trying to figure out where the signal's coming from. You've got people dedicated to just taking this, signal out. So I think that's a very, a valid assumption that there is some sort of high that you get from this, because Frank, they have that like 10-minute fight scene in the alley.
Oh, that might be my favorite scene in the movie, because it got to the point where somebody on the crew was like, y'all, we hired a fucking wrestler superstar. What are we doing? Why is he not wrestling?
Because there was some definite wrestling moves in that when he picks him up and just launches him backwards. And
Clotheslines him.
It just keeps going. It goes on for so long, and then he finally puts the glasses
and that falls into one of my favorite things in comedy, where you just keep the bit going too long. You keep the bit going so long that you're like, all right, this is uncomfortable now.
Yeah, he's just like, when is this gonna fucking end? And by the end of it, they're all just defeated. And I love after they cut to them walking down the street, both with the glasses on, they're just like hobbling down the road. Like, you know, they've got fucking bruises all over their face. I'm like, yeah, y'all beat the shit out of each other, man. You guys were not holding back. And speaking of the glasses, I do think it's a great, simple, effective way to differentiate the real world with the, you know, trance world, if that's what you want to call it, by switching to black and white. I think that was so perfect to do, just like I said, because you can differentiate what's going on. If you're seeing something in black and white, you are seeing something through the glasses. You are seeing the world how it is, as opposed to seeing everything in color and knowing, and what?
And you save on lighting. You save hundreds of thousands of dollars on lighting and lighting crew.
There are some shots, though, that I genuinely don't understand how they did it. I understand anytime the camera is moving, they just swapped out all the props, whatever. But there's like a shot of the skyline when he throws the glasses up. I'm like, they didn't just change the fucking billboard for that, I don't think. So it's like, how did they do that? Was that just like hand drawn or something? How did they do that with the skyline and the billboard? Because I don't think.
Now I will say they did have some 3D graphics going on with like the little fucking chaser saucers.
Yeah, that's true. They might have superimposed it. That's possible.
They might have actually been able at the time. They might have had the technology to start superimposing shit.
Yeah, because the flying little saucer thing was superimposed as well. Okay, so maybe that's what they did. But yeah, I love that when because not only is everything completely different, but you have these little sirens on top of the stoplights that are like, sleep, stay asleep. And then you have the little robots flying around, keeping an eye on everything that Nada's like, has a quippy one-liner and then just takes it out. So good. So, yeah.
Mama don't like no tattletales.
That was a good one right there. Let's see what else we got here. I want to get into the ending, obviously, at some point. Yeah, we'll get to the ending here in a second. The only other thing I had for likes, other than ending stuff, was I love Meg Foster's character because she's introduced and he puts on the glasses and she's not an alien. So he's like, drive, get me out of here. And then they go to her house. And then he's looking out the window, talking to her about something, and gets smashed over the head with a wine bottle and just fucking like she hits him and he falls out the window down like 20 feet onto the ground. And
then down the hill.
Yeah, that's right. And then tumbles down the hill, and then she calls someone, like, gives them the address, blah, blah, blah. So you're like, okay, I guess she's working for them. And then she doesn't come back around for a while until kind of the third act, where everyone's, gearing up with all the guns to go find this signal, and she's there. And Nada goes over to her, like, oh, I thought you died. And he's like, yeah, so did I. And then, boom, fucking police bust in, shooting the fucking place up. And then you don't see what happens to her. So you're like, okay, so she's not working for them. And then, no, wait. Fucking plot twist again. You get to the ending of the movie on the rooftop and she's on their side. She just keeps flip-flopping back and forth. Yeah. It's like fucking Scream. He is the killer. Wait, no, he's not the killer. Nah, just kidding. He's the killer. It was like this flip-flop back and forth that I loved because you had no fuck. But the second time you saw her when she was with everybody in the resistance, you're like, oh, okay, I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know what's going on. Was she just calling the cops because he was an intruder? Was she calling the cops because she's involved? I don't know. And then you get that answer at the end of the movie. So that was my only other was just the flip-flopping of that kind of twisty bit with Meg Foster. Specifically, or not regarding the ending, was there anything else that you wanted to mention? Because we got to talk about ending shit.
I really love every single character in this movie, because everyone has such a specific character to play. And yes, the characters interact, it almost feels like nobody's motivations match each other, and everybody's on like a subconscious level, everybody's out to do their own thing, and it just so happens the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I really enjoy all of the character interactions, how the aliens interact with the humans, how the humans interact with each other and try to figure out who's on what side. It's very fun, and it leads to a lot of like random 80s cheese, just with how some of the interactions are. And I'm like, yeah, this is great. This is fun.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with all that.
The explosions. There weren't many, but the explosions in this movie are top fucking notch.
As we all remember from Christine with that excellent gas station explosion. Yeah, Carpenter does not disappoint with his explosions. So, couple things about the ending here. Cory and I both agree with how, like, just wackily sci-fi this movie goes at the end. Not like it wasn't sci-fi before, but it just goes full-blown sci-fi from the second that they escape from all the guns and that portal opens in the bottom from the watch they had, and they go down in there and all these people are underground having this meeting. And here's the line that hit me again like a sack of bricks, because the guy running this meeting says, and I quote, "Our projections show that by the year 2025, not only America, but the entire planet will be under the protection of the dominion of this power alliance. The gains have been substantial, and for you, the human power elite." Like, what? 2025? It is 2025. Yeah. No. Are we living out the plot of They Live right now? Could you fucking imagine? John Carpenter just sits back in his chair, sipping some whiskey, smoking a cigar, like, yeah, that's right. Fucking third act plot twist. That'd be so fucking great. So yeah, but that whole fucking ending is so good when they, especially because that guy that they run into at that meeting or whatever you want to call it, he's like, "Oh, hey boys, I didn't realize you guys had been on the team. Welcome. You guys should have dressed up." And they're both just like, "Yeah, that's what we're doing here. We totally didn't get here by accident."
It took me way too long to draw the parallel of who that character was.
Right? Yeah.
I was like, who the fuck is this? And then, unfortunately, I paused it and I went to IMDb and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm following again now.
Yep. So it's good. And then, of course, they are following him around and they say, "Hey, let us go into the TV room. I want to check it out." And one of the guys is like, "Nah, you don't have access cards." So they're like, "Fuck it." And they pull out guns and just start blasting everybody. And it's such a great fucking ending. They're just going through this underground fortress of yada yada with these guns, asking everybody where, Meg Foster's character is. How do I get to the roof? Where's the roof? I need to get to the roof. And then they finally find the roof where it's not explained if Frank dies, but I'm pretty fucking sure Meg Foster, her character, kills Frank, because she said,
yeah,
he's like, "Where's Frank?" It's like, "Oh, Frank's doing fine." And she's got a gun pointed at him. And I love how they're sitting there with guns drawn, and he just says, I think he says "fuck it" or something, and shoots Meg Foster, who has the greatest fucking death of all time. And she just falls straight back. Like, it's like her back stiffened up and she just fell over like a 2x4. It's so good. And then the helicopter comes up and it's like shooting at Nada, and he just starts shooting the fucking the signal that's going into space, falls over because he gets hit by a shot, flicks off the helicopter, and then boom, all the aliens are revealed. It is such a fucking good ending. I like, it's going to be part of my hot take, but I think that last 20 minutes of this movie, they fuck so hard. And it makes everything that was kind of slow about the movie worth it, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel.
I mean, I love the ending. The ending's great. The entire lead up, I love the chase through the cable station.
Yes.
I texted you about it. I don't think I got an answer from you.
Oh yeah.
Did you catch one of the most famous 80s props ever?
It was
in that chase scene.
The ghost detector thing from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it was the ghost. Yeah, and it's been in a bunch of other shit.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, hey, that's probably what Cory was talking about.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, and so this is actually the first time I noticed this line, but after all the aliens get revealed, and it's that one alien in the bar who's just staring up at the TV like a fucking goofball. Someone on TV is talking, and what they're saying is, again, I quote, "All the sex and violence in the screen has gone too far for me. I'm fed up with it. Filmmakers like George Romero and John Carpenter have to show some restraint." And I was like, what? Why have I never heard that line? He just interjected.
Yeah, it's a very good line. It's a director self-insert without being obnoxious about it.
Yeah, I love that. I'd never noticed that line before. But yeah, I love that ending because it's just like mass hysteria, mass panic. Everyone knows the aliens are real and they're freaking the fuck out about it. It's so good. And everything it's funny too, because I was wondering if they broke the signal, if everything would be black and white. Nope, it's all color. Love it. You can see the alien and all their blue-red glory. It's fucking amazing.
And the aliens are so much better not in black and white.
Yeah, and I think I like that they didn't show them in color until the end, because you're like, ooh, man, those things are hideous. And then it ends with such a comedic scene where some chick is just having sex and looks down and it's full alien, like even his body is all red and blue. And he's like, "What's wrong, baby?" And then cut to black. I'm like, yes. Yes.
Jessica said at the very end of that movie when that scene rolled, she said, "Well, at least we got titties out of this."
Yeah, the only set of tits in the entire movie, right before the credits. I did not have any dislikes, so I know we already kind of went through yours, and it's basically, you said the only dislike you had was the pacing for you, right?
Yeah, just getting up to the premise of They Live. Okay. Like from the start of the movie to the time he puts on the glasses is too long.
Too long. Okay.
That's my only gripe.
So these, I try to come up with some form of a hot take, and not all of them are hot. There's a lot of lukewarm ones I have. So I don't think this is necessarily a hot take, but I will say that this is like probably top 3 Carpenter scores for me. Although it is a little bit repetitive at times. Top 3 Carpenter score for me. And I think this is genuine. Like the last 25, 30, like the last act, I would say, is one. I don't know if it's necessarily the greatest, but it is one of my favorite endings of an 80s movie. Like, again, probably like top 3, top 5 endings, just because of how fucking, it's just like, it's got everything in it. It's got action elements, sci-fi elements, horror elements, and a fucking, like a comedic moment. Like, it has every genre just thrown into the last 20 or 30 minutes. I just fucking love the ending. It is incredible. Do you have a hot take for this movie?
No, not really. I mean, I agree with your hot take, so it's obviously not very hot.
Exactly. I wasn't assuming it was going to be too hot. Hooked for me is when Nada realizes that the church is not what it seems. He finds all the chemist equipment. He sees the glasses in the wall, realizes that the singing is tape recorded. And then once nightfall happens, everyone's fleeing the church and it gets swarmed with cops. You have a scientific investigation truck there, and then they bulldoze the shelter where Frank and Nada were at. So like, that's when I'm like, we're heading into a really fucked up situation. Also, the police are involved. What the fuck? What about you?
So the point that I got hooked is also my favorite line of the movie. It's right at the very beginning when things start kicking off. Nada's walking in a grocery store, some type of corner store, something, and he's looking at this woman and pulling his glasses down and putting the glasses up. So I'm going to read for you this line.
Yes.
"You look like your head got left in the cheese dip back in 1957. You're okay. This one is real fucking ugly.
There it is. Cheese dip. That's what it was. I said marshmallow, whatever.
But yeah, that's my favorite line of the movie.
Okay.
Now, I do have to give an honorable mention to arguably one of the most quoted and heavily misquoted lines that came from this movie. I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Yep, that's my favorite line.
It's such a classic, fantastic line that has been referenced. It will be a line that is referenced in media till the end of time.
Yeah, it's one of those lines that I had heard absolutely before, or, you know, riffed on or spoofed in some sort of way. And then I watched They Live and I was like, oh, that's where this is from. So I'm never lost. I assume you're never lost either, especially since how much you live. Horror moment for me is the police bust in to like the, you know, resistance or whatever you want to call them, because not only is it's horrific, but like there's a huge explosion that goes off out of nowhere, so much so that I jumped because I was like, oh fuck, I forgot about that. And it's just this line of cops just mowing people down. I was like, fuck, that is horrific. So that's my horror moment. What about you?
So my horror moment is a toss-up between that, because while it is a fantastic horror moment, it is one of my favorite scenes because you get Meg Foster's character just cut off in the middle of dialogue to what I would describe as a comedically timed explosion. Because it wasn't like just a boom breakthrough. This was like they set off fucking charges. Yeah.
It was a fucking explosion. It like,
and I really, really like the that just, for me, that anxious feeling when he first puts on the glasses and it changes the billboard.
Yeah.
And it's like marry and reproduce, consume.
Yeah.
And before he even sees the aliens at first, when he's just up, down, all over the billboards and shit, I'm like, I could totally understand how uneasy and like weird internally that would make you feel.
Oh yeah. Would not be okay after that. Favorite kills, Meg Foster. There's a lot of kills in this, but it's not like a slasher movie. But my favorite kill is Nada taking out Meg Foster's character, because like I said, she just falls. It's like she stiffens up and falls backwards. It's fucking hilarious. Do you have a favorite kill?
So no, not really, but I am going to say any one of the deaths that happen during any one of the gunfights, because all of these gunfights are just so cartoonish. Nobody's aiming at anything. It's just the direction had to be hold the gun and just like pretend to be a sprinkler. Like it's so hilarious and comic. And it reminds me almost like of the of all the shootouts in like the Star Wars movies and how the stormtroopers just like fall these crazy extravagant falls, and you'll see like the cops up on the roof and Nada and Frank are just mowing them down and they're falling, or the fucking cars are getting rammed. It's hilarious.
Perfect. I love it. My favorite character is Frank because he is me. I don't want to know. Leave me out of this. I'll take the blue pill. Ignorance is bliss in this case. Let me just live my fucking life under the rule of these aliens. I don't want to know. But then when you find out, like, fuck it, let's do this. What about you?
My favorite character is the hobo after he gets cleaned up, because he just shows up and offers them the keys to the fucking palace.
Yeah.
Because he thinks it's cool. Like, he's not trying to betray the aliens, but he's like, yo, this is so fucking cool. Come check this shit out. It is the most Deus Ex Machina that I've ever seen on screen.
I love that. We already went over our favorite lines, so we've already nailed that. Anything else you want to mention before we wrap up here?
No, not really. This is just if most of y'all aren't like me, you don't care about nitpicky pacing stuff like I do. It's a fantastic late 80s movie. It's one of John Carpenter's best just overall score and just movie in general.
Yeah.
And it's a fun movie. It's kind of hard to find at the moment unless you want to buy it or go on the Internet Archive, but if you can find it, watch it. I highly recommend it.
Yep. Totally agree with all that. Let's move on to the post review stuff here. Let's see if we could scroll. There we go. Taglines, obey or else, alien invasion of the subliminal kind. And who are they and what do they want? Trivia, John Carpenter brought real homeless folks into the production for several scenes and smaller characters and gave them food as well as paychecks. Quote, I thought that was a pretty classy thing to do, said Roddy Piper. It was Roddy Piper himself who came up with the famous one-liner that we have said, I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. According to director John Carpenter, Piper had previously written the line in his notebook of potential verbal bits during his wrestling career. He shared the notebook with Carpenter, and they agreed that this particular line fit the character and the film perfectly. Piper would then go on to use it at a wrestling match. We already went over that. The communicators used by the guards near the end of the film is the PKE meter used in Ghostbusters, and this is one of the only only movies to go on starring a professional wrestler to be number one at the box office, or like one of 10 movies or something. What was it?
Yeah, no. So this is one of the first movies to star a WWF superstar.
Yeah, to go on it to be number one at the box office. Right?
No, just in general.
Oh.
This was one of the first movies in history. There was one before, maybe. It was much more like made for TV. It didn't go out to theaters, but this was one of the first movies that went to theaters with a WWF superstar.
Love that.
And then 1 year later, in 1989, came Hulk Hogan's No Holds Barred.
Okay. There we go. That's what it was. Goofs, after Nada tells the primping alien woman that's like pouring perfume on a pig, the actor's alien hand glove ends before her sleeve, revealing her bare arm. How dare they? Rated 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb, 3.8 out of 5 on Letterboxd, has an 87% on the tomato meter, and an 80% audience score. What did you rate this, Corey?
I rated it a 4.
I rated it a 4.5, so that is a Frightmare certified slap. Similar movies according to Letterboxd, we have District 9, Captive State, Beyond Skyline, and Independence Day. Similar movies according to IMDb, we have Escape from New York, Prince of Darkness, The Fog, Big Trouble in Little China, and In the Mouth of Madness. Let's do some funny reviews. I've got some things and some stuff. Let me pull those bitches up. All right, take it away.
So, a half-star review from Gussie. Old ass movie.
I guess so. 4 stars from Jay. R.I.P. Karl Marx. You would have loved the classism glasses.
A half-star review from Willing Wonka. One of the most unfunny films I've ever seen, which it's not a funny movie. I mean, It has funny parts, but it's not a comedy movie.
Not a comedy, buddy. Not a comedy. 5 stars from PD187. So are the skull aliens still buying magazines and groceries and shit? Like, are they still conforming or consuming? The fuck? I've got like 2 more, I think.
Yeah, I've got 2 more as well.
Okay.
A 5-star and a heart from pro member Lisa. It's my birthday, so I woke up and watched They Live.
Yes.
Hey, I mean, if that's how you want to spend your birthday, more power to you.
Absolutely. 4 stars from Zara, John Carpenter. What if capitalism was invented by aliens? What if, John Carpenter? What if? You got any more?
Yeah, one more.
Yep, same.
A 5-star and a heart from patron Boston Clover. Still funny as hell that Frank gets mad at Nada for breaking the rear windshield of a car during their epic fight, given the car is most definitely not Frank's car, because Frank has no car, because he's homeless, just like Nada.
Oh my God, I never realized that. Oh, that's hilarious.
Nada even says, oops, sorry. I wonder if they filmed that before and then they introduced Frank like later in the shoot as a homeless character.
Oh God. Oh yeah, here we go. 4 stars from Mike. Roddy Piper's character is a real one. Discovers a secret ruling class of aliens, and he instantly brings a shotgun into a bank and starts killing them. Yes. Oh my goodness. If you enjoy the show, please rate and review on your favorite podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Slasher app at Frightmares Podcast. Our email is stayspooky@outlook.com. You can also follow me personally on Letterboxd at Dr. Proctor. Cory, you are...
Frightmares Cory.
Booyah! Next week, Jason and I, the man from Jason, What Did Jason Hill Make Me Watch? We are going to be doing Society from 1989. So until then, stay tuned and...
I have come here to chew bubblegum and stay spooky, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Yes!